Hello, class. Good to see you again. We're talking today about, this week, we're talking about numbers, not the book of the Bible. We're talking about the numbers that you count with. Now, I know in your PowerPoint, if you've looked, we've looked at how to count from 1 to 100. And why is that important? Well, for lots of reasons. One of the reasons we're going to talk about today is how to tell time. And I know you know how to tell time in English, but do you know how to tell it in Spanish? For example, how do I ask, what time is it? It's very simple. ¿Qué hora es? Let's say that together. ¿Qué hora es? ¿Qué hora es? Means what time is it? ¿Qué, what, hora, hour, es, it is, or is it? ¿Qué hora es? And so we want to talk about how do I ask a person what time it is. Later on, we're going to learn another question, and that is, how do I say, for example, what time is lunch? Very important question for those of us who love to eat. What time is the ball game? What time is class? ¿A qué hora es? We'll get to that later. First, let's just talk about how do I say what time it is right now. The first thing we have to do, for example, if I want to say it's 1 o'clock, I'm going to say it like this. You know what 1 o'clock looks like. I won't draw the big fancy clock with the hands because most of you don't know how to use hands anyway. But anyway, 1 o'clock, 100. Here's how you say it. There goes the bell. Doesn't that make you feel like you're back in class? Anyway, es la una. Es la una. It's 1 o'clock. Es la una. It's 1. Right? What if I want to say it's 2 o'clock? Not going to say es la dos. No. Here's what we say. We have 2 o'clock. We say son las dos. Let me write that better. Son las dos. Now, if you remember what we've been learning with our plurals, son is the third person plural of ser. The verb ser is the verb that we use to talk about time. Es la una, it's 1 o'clock. But anything after 1 o'clock, you're going to say son. Son las dos. So if it's 3 o'clock, you're going to say son las tres. If it's 4 o'clock, son las cuatro. And all the way up to the evening. So you're going to have son las dos, son las tres, son las cuatro, son las cinco, son las seis. All right, so that's basically how you get to the hour. What hour is it right now? If it's 9 o'clock in the morning, son las 9 de la mañana of the morning. If it's 9 o'clock in the evening, son las 9 de la noche. Right? How do you say in the morning or in the evening? We'll get to that another time. Right now, let's just talk about using the numbers. Now, what if it's 2:30? What if it's 2:30? Well, you could get away with saying 30 for 30, but that's not how we do it. You're going to say, if it's 2:30, you're going to say 2:30 in English. We're going to say son las, and then you're going to say dos y media. Dos y media. It's 2:30. It's 2.5, basically. 2.5. Dos y media. Media meaning middle, halfway. Right? So you can guess what we're going to say. If we're going to say it's 3:30, son las tres y media. If it's 4:30, son las cuatro y media. Everybody say y media. Y media. Son las dos y media. It's 2:30. It's 9 o'clock. If it's 9:30, son las 9 y media. Remember, if it's 1:30, you're going to say es la una y media. So remember, y media. If it's half past. What if it's a quarter after? What if it's 2:15? Or let's move it to another hour. What if it's 3:15? There's a couple of ways you can say that. You're going to say, we're always going to start off with son las every time, no matter what time it is. Unless it's 1 o'clock, you're going to say son las every time. So we got that part. But how do we say 3:15? Well, you can say son las tres. You're going to put the hour, y, and you could do it two ways. You could say cuarto, C-U-A-R-T-O, literally as a quarter after, just like we do in English. We say it's 2:15, or we'll say it's a quarter after, right? Because it's a quarter of the hour. Son las 3:15. Not cuatro. Because if you say son las 3:15, you're saying it's 4 minutes after 3, and you're going to get your time wrong. So you cuarto, cuarto, cuarto. Son las 3:15. Or you could say 15 after. Can anybody out there remember how to say 15? Quince. So you could say 3:15. Now, there's another way to say it we'll get to later on. We can talk about how much it is until the next place. So you can say, son las 3:15, son las 3:15. Now, with telling time, nowadays, that most people don't use the hands on the clock. They use the digital numbers. That's what most of us use. So you just basically, you can say it like it is on the clock. Like right now, as I'm teaching you, it is 10:03. So if it's 10:03 right this minute, how would I say that in Spanish? I would say son las 10:03. 10:03. 10:03. 10:03. So if it's 10 after 10, 10:10. If it's 10:25, 10:25. So this is why you need to know the numbers that we've been working on. How do I talk all the way up to 60? How do you say 59? 59. 59. What if it's 3:45? Son las 3:45. So let's go over just the numbers themselves. How do you say 35? Anybody out there know how to say 35? 35. How do you say 22? 22. You can refer to your list if you'd like to do that during this time. Let's just talk about some different numbers. How do you say 19? 19. So if I want to say it's 4:19, it's 4:19. All you do, guys, is you just say the hour, the number for the hour. Then you put the E for and then you put the number that comes after it. That's all there is to it. That's all you have to do to say what time it is. If it's 3:45, son las 3:45. If it's 1:15, es la 1:15 or 1:15. Now, what about though if I want to say it's so much until something? Like you may not want to say it's 1:55. You might want to say it's 5 minutes to 2. So how do you do that? Well, that's a very simple thing to do. Let me grab my eraser. I keep dropping it. I'm proving that gravity actually works. See? Now watch this. All you're going to do, if you're going to talk about, like, for example, let's say we want to say it's 10 till 5. 10 till 5. Here's how you say it. You're going to say son las, and then you're going to say cinco, that's 5, right? Menos 10. Now, what that means is it is 5 minus 10, right? So, menos means minus or take away. Remember, we were doing the subtraction problems earlier. Tres menos, right? And so, here's the thing with telling time. If I want to say it's 10 minutes to 5, I'm going to say it's 5 minus 10, right? 5 minutes and 10 minutes away from being 5 o'clock. So if I want, there's a lot of ways I can say time then, right? I can say, if I wanted to say, let me just put it here. If it's 10 minutes to 5, so that means it's 4:50 in English, or it's 10 till 5. Those are the two ways we would generally say that time, right? And so if I wanted to say 4:50, I could just say 40 y, I'm sorry, I said that totally wrong. 4:50. I was combining my words there. 4:50. 4 and 50. Or I can say it's son las 5 menos 10. 5 minus 10. 10 minutes until 5. So let's review some of the things real quick. Here's what I want you to do. Take a minute, and I'm going to write these times on the board just as fast as I can. And as I do, I want you to see how fast you can say them. Ready? Go. All right, good. Now let's see if you did it. How fast did you just take a minute and look at these? 3:25. How would you say that? Son las 3:25. 3:25. How about this one? 7:10. 7:10. 7:10. 7 and 10. 6:15. Son las 6:15. Or 6 y what? Cuarto. That's correct. Very good. Son las 9. It's 9 o'clock. 1:45. Es la 1:45. Or son las 2 menos 15 or 2 menos cuarto, right? Yours is 15 till. Or 6:15. Son las 6:15. 6:15. Very good, very good. Now, let's talk about one more thing in talking about time. What if we wanted to do something a little different? What if we wanted to ask about what time something is happening? You're going to start off, the question goes like this. You're going to say, a que hora, at what time, es, and then whatever it is that you're wanting to know about. A que hora es la clase? What time's the class? A que hora es el partido de fútbol? What time's the football game? A que hora es almuerzo? What time is lunch? A que hora es mi cita? What time's my date? Right? A que hora es, and so at what time is it? And then you're going to put whatever it is here. So that's how you're going to ask the question. Let's do our favorite thing and talk about lunch. A que hora es almuerzo? What time is lunch? Now, if you're going to be speaking in Spanish culture, you're going to need to know what time things are, right? What if you've got to meet the bus? A que hora llega el autobús? You know, what time does the bus arrive? Those kind of things. So anyway, how would I answer that? You don't say son las, because son las means that's what time it is right now. So you don't want to get confused because you might tell somebody the wrong thing. So how do you say it? If I want to say, for example, if I want to say lunch is at 11:30. That's what time we're having lunch here. You're going to say el almuerzo, lunch, right? El almuerzo, lunch, es a las 11:30. Notice how this, take a look at this sentence for just a minute. You got lunch, el almuerzo, right? Es means it is, the lunch is, and then you're going to have a las, and then the time. Lunch is at the, and then you give the time. So what if lunch was at 1 o'clock? Oh, I hope it's not that late. What if lunch was at 1 o'clock? You'd say, el almuerzo es a la, singular, a la una. Not uno, una. A la una. What if a class is at 2:15? What if the Spanish class is at 2:15 today? La clase de español. Say that with me. La clase de español. That's the class of Spanish. Don't you dare say español clase. I will come through the screen and come after you if you ever say, I heard that. I'm coming to see you, buddy. Listen here. Anyway, clase de español. You never say español clase. Ugh, terrible. You say la clase de español es, and then you give a las 2:30, 2:30. Clase de español es a las 2:30. Class at 2 o'clock. So, what if dinner? What if you're going to have dinner tonight at 6 o'clock? La cena. La cena is an evening meal. It can sometimes it's very late. Maybe you'd say la comida instead. La comida es a las 6. A las 6. So let's just do a short review. If I'm going to say something is at something, like if it's at 1 o'clock, okay? If it's at 1 o'clock, you can say a la una. If it's at 2 o'clock, it's going to be a las dos. Notice the difference there because it's only at 1. A la una, a las dos, a las tres, and so on and so on and so on. So as we're reviewing these different ways of talking about time, think about something that you've got in the next hour. When's your next study time? La estudia es a las, and then give the time. What time is your next meal? What time are you going to go play football out in the park or whatever? What time do you have to be at a certain place? So what time is church? La iglesia es a las 10:45. 10:45 is when we have church on Sunday morning. So these are some of the questions. These are some of the ways that we talk about time. So what I would encourage you to do is practice using some of these times as we get into how do we talk about numbers? How do we know what time things are happening? Be ready. I will try to give you some more information about this, and we will be having a quiz before it's all over on this kind of thing. So be thinking, be practicing, be looking over it. Listen, take care. We'll see you later. God bless.